And
you
so
know,
what was it like for you though? Because you're trying to explore and make sense and meaning from what is a horrifically fractured history, personal history, you know.
yes,
Your dad is the prototypical refugee from
yes.
the most awful in recent times, disastrous thing that humanity has done. And he understandably just wants to reject all of that, get on with his new life. But you're going backwards in time in a sense to try and embrace it in a way he couldn't.
Definitely. And I think I started studying this area that you probably know a whole lot more than I know about emotional inheritance.
Right.
Uh, about people that pass on to future generations their own traumas. And I got very interested in that subject, read a number of books about it, include some of the
Yeah.
information I learned in my book. And I got, it
Well,
was
trauma is epigenetic. We know that.
right, right. And I,
It rewrites our code, and it should do because to make if you can't like if we think about it rationally, it's not possible to give your child all the knowledge of danger that it needs to have. So if you can encode it genetically and then it's passed on that way, then there's a whole body of knowledge they've got, whether it's appropriate knowledge
that's
or
right.
not, but it's there, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I guess a little surprisingly to me, I was wholly unaware of it.
Well, you as a medic, you were like, how did I not know about this?
Right. I mean, it was one of those things that seems, as I read about it, it made total sense to me, and it actually made me understand my own behavior better over the years. It made me understand my
Fantastic.
father's behavior. And then,
Fantastic.
but I was completely unaware that this was even a field of study.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I read some excellent books about it,
Yeah.
and it just made perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is real, it's there, and it's useful as well. Like in clinical practice, it's useful, like you just said, if I can explain this to people, they suddenly go, ah, that's why. And suddenly they don't feel I'm out there, there's something broken about me. It's like, ah, it's explicable. Got it. Got it.
Yeah, it's
Young people in
somehow,
particular love that knowledge, right?
yeah, somehow there's the notion though, take the Holocaust. All right, I'm sitting here in 2025. Well, that happened to all those other people. And yeah, I was related to some of them,
Yeah.
but that's just not the case, obviously.
No,
Uh,
you experienced it.
yeah, I think so. And, the question I had as I researched this and wrote this book is, am I passing that on to my daughters,
Yeah.
or is it stopping with me, or what's going to happen? And that does interest me a
Have
lot. That
you found a conclusion to that? I mean, I've got some answers to that, but for you
no,
personally,
no, I suspect I'm going to pass it along. In
I'm
some,
almost certainly, I think. But that
yeah,
doesn't have to be the story. I mean, I think people get frightened by this stuff, like it's a deterministic thing. The term epigenetic means are the aspects of our code that are affected by our environment.
right, right,
It's not like the color of our eyes. So
right.
if it was passed on, it can be changed. And the key to changing it is self-knowledge.
Hmm.
And there's this thing, isn't there, about people like your dad did it. I'm not going to talk about this stuff because if I talk about it, it's going to damage you, I suspect, in his head or something. But actually, it's the opposite is true. That when
That's
we
really
share
interesting.
this stuff, we are
Yeah.
protecting our children.
So you think, as in most things, if we shine light on it, then we have a better chance
It's not
of.
a thought, it's evidenced. That's a lot of evidence. It's not a personal opinion. It's a fact that the more we have knowledge about this stuff, the less likely we are to have to repeat those survival mechanisms. We can make choices, more effective choices, and change our behavior. And when we change our behavior, we change everything.
I should have interviewed you for the book. Well, no, that's really good. That is encouraging.
Yeah, without a doubt, your journey is saving, for want of an overused term, your journey is saving your soul, without a doubt, and that of your children, without a doubt. You know,
Yeah.
it's a very honorable task as far as I can see. And particularly as a guy, I'm really interested as a guy because the typical response of men, particularly of our type of generation, is leave it alone. It's the dog sleeping, just let it lie. But somehow you won't do that. And is that part of who you are as a person?
I think so. I mean, I think so. Things touch me pretty deeply, and
Yeah,
I first noticed that in the hospital, where other doctors were sort of moving on from death of one of our patients. I wasn't, and so each time that happened, a little piece of me got lost. And I
right,
write about this in my first book, Exhale, because that eventually drove me out of clinical practice of
right.
transplant because I didn't have any reservoir left.
Yeah,
And I noticed, I saw it coming, but I couldn't do much about it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe it's just time to move on anyway. It sounds like you've gone on in a direction and journey which is I think of crucial importance, not just for you, but for a whole generation of guys that have these types of experiences.